Hey class. So today your tasks will all be about reading graphic texts. Mr. Jewell does a pretty good job of outlining sort of the process and some reading strategies. But I wanted you to get just a little bit of more insight into how graphic texts are organized and the things that you could use in order to pick out those main ideas and those supporting ideas. So first thing is, what is a graphic text? A graphic text is a text that uses both words and pictures to give information. Now, the big thing that I often see students make mistakes on is that they have an like a 3 paragraph essay on one side and one picture, and they call it mistakenly a graphic text. That's not a graphic text. In order for it to be a graphic text, the words and the pictures have to support each other and they have to be equally as important. So for example, here, so you have the text, so you have the titles, the subheadings, the information located here, and the images. So in these images, both help send the message and give information. So both equally as important to you understanding what this is about. So next I want to go over the elements of a graphic text. What I mean by that is the parts of a graphic text, the things that the creators of these texts use in order to send their messages. So the first is headings and subheadings. Headings is usually about the main idea. So this is where you get the central important understanding for that text. The subheadings usually provide supporting details or give more information. So, for example, here, the heading is 10 foods that are great for building muscle. So you can tell that this whole piece of writing is going to be about this topic. The subheadings are pretty easy to see here. So we got beef, brown rice, eggs, chicken. So we know that these are supporting the main idea of how do we build muscle. So, and then there'd be more information in there that would give you that information. Next thing that the writers will use is captions. So captions are found with images. And their purpose is to tell us more about what's in the picture or the visual. So for example, here we have an image of a baseball player sliding next to the catcher. If we didn't have the caption, we wouldn't know who these people are or when it happened. The caption gives us some more information that we have Baltimore's Renato Nunez scores on a sacrifice fly in the 4th inning. So we get a little bit more information about the image. The next tool that they use is diagrams. So a diagram is an image that shows parts of something. You probably have seen these in science textbooks, maybe in like those books that you get from the library that show you parts of a motor or something like that. So for example, we got here, we have, this is a diagram of the brain. It shows you the different parts of the brain and they're all listed and the arrow is pointing to which part. It gives you a visual idea of what it looks like. This one should be review to you, I hope. So we got graphs. So they show information based on numbers. Graphs can do a whole lot of different things. They can show growth. They can show reduction. So they can show a lessening of something. They can compare multiple things, or they could show how something breaks down. And usually we see one of 4 types. So you got the bar graph, and bar graphs are great for those comparisons or the growth and reduction. So for example, this one looks like it's about April snack sales. And you got different types of snacks, and this shows a comparison of what sold more. So it looks like soda. Yeah, I know I can read that. I doubt you can. So soda sold the most compared to the other ones. The next one is a line graph, and line graphs are great for showing growth and reduction, not so much for comparison. So for example, here we got January book sales, and we can tell that the book sales went up and then they went down a bit and then they went up again. So it shows an overall growth, and it can show a reduction depending on which way this line's going. The third one we see most often is the circle or pie graph. This shows a breakdown. So for example, of how students get to school. So you polled 100 students, and this is how, if you were to divide that pie into each part, how they get to school. So we can tell that most are bus riders, good number of walkers, and a very small amount get parents dropping them off. So it gives you a visual to see which ones are the most important. The fourth one, and we see these sometimes but not often, is a pictograph. So it shows how many of something were counted per picture. So like we have cows, cats, fish, birds, and rabbits. So pets owned at Hill School, or sorry, that's dogs. Dogs. So we can tell that each one of these dogs is probably worth 10. It says right there, each picture equals 10 animals. So we can tell this is how many people own dogs, this is how many people own cats. It's also good for that comparing. So we can tell that there are more dogs owned than cats, especially more than rabbits, because the line is longer. So you try to make each image the same size so that you can just see there are more dogs. Another one you'll see often, and sometimes these are graphic texts just in themselves, is maps. So maps show details about an area. So they show important points to an area. A hint that I'll always give you is check the title and the captions to figure out what the map is about. And another hint is look at the legend to see what colors, symbols, and all the stuff on the map means. So here we have a map of the Toronto Zoo, so we can tell that the colors mean the different areas, so that you can see them really closely. You can see the images of the animals that you might see in those areas. If you zoom in, you'd see that there were numbers, so that shows the most important animals. So you can get a lot of information from a map. The next thing the writers might use is a table. So a table gives important information about two or more things, and it's often used in a comparison. So again, a hint, always check the title to get the main idea of what these images or these graphs or these maps are about. So for example, this table is about study time versus grades. So we got students, we have the number of hours that they studied, and they have the grades. So this would allow us to compare and figure out, does study time have anything to do with grades? So, and it's pretty clear that they're trying to show that the more you study, the higher your grade. So that Cindy here has 5 hours and 92, Thomas 5 hours 94, compared to a Marissa with 1 hour and a 78. So that helps you make that comparison. The last thing that a lot of graphic text will use is a glossary. And a glossary is a list of new or important words that you might want to know or that might have been used in the text. So this is often found near the bottom or at the end of a graphic text, and you'll get the word and you'll get the definition. So the next thing I want to go over is how to read graphic texts. The course goes into a bit more specifics, but this is just to sort of give you an overall sort of process that you want to go through. So the first thing I would encourage you to do is skim and scan. So what I mean by skimming is you take your reading and you move over it really quickly. You're not trying to read every word, but you are trying to find the main idea. Oftentimes this is done after reading the questions. So you're also, in your skim phase, looking for, are there any sections from the reading that's going to help you answer the question asked? After you've done a skim, you're going to do a scan. So you're going to see, how is the reading organized? What elements does it have and what do they tell you? So this is where you start looking at the pictures. This is where you start looking at the tables and figuring out what the overall message is for the piece that you're looking at. So the process looks like this. Number one, look at the title first, and then look at the headings, graphs, labels, tables, whatever the author has used. The second thing you want to do is ask yourself, what is the main idea or the general topic of what I'm reading? Number three is notice. So which elements seem important? Consider size or placement. Remember, oftentimes important information might be bolded or underlined. You want an example of this, look into our news feed, and oftentimes I will bold or underline important information so that when you are skimming and scanning, you can see it and know it's important. And four, consider, and that's what I'm asking you is consider, how is everything connected? So how do the images, the graphs, the tables, the maps, how does it help support the words? Does it enforce what the words are saying? Does it give more examples? It can do a whole lot of things. So how is it connected? Okay, so with that, hopefully that gives you a better idea on how to approach graphic texts. Between this and the stuff under the content tab, hopefully you have no issues getting this section of the course done. Good luck.